No, I thank you guys. Seriously, y'all are doing a great job. I was in preparation. I watched and listened to a few episodes, and so commend you fellas for this and highlighting Black excellence. And this is amazing, and the world needs to see more examples of Black men like this in this format, right? And so I think that these are the types of formats that break down walls and show us, and as human beings that we are, right? And I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Hops and Stocks Podcast is presented by 100 Spoke Media Group. We encourage our listeners to drink responsibly. Please note, we are not financial advisors. We do not offer or provide financial advice.
I'm Spoke affiliated from the city of Jim.
Welcome back to the Hops and Stocks Podcast, brought to you by 100 Spoke Media Group. This is episode 68. We would like to welcome Myron Rivers. He's the owner and CEO of Lerch. We're going to let Myron, get into his background and, tap into, what he does. But today is February 1st. So obviously, y'all won't be hearing this till next week, but today's February 1st, the start of Black History Month. So we want to make sure we, recognize Black excellence.
Yes, sir.
How's everybody's week going?
Slow and steady, man.
Slow and steady.
It's all love.
Good. It's been crazy, but good.
I can dig it.
What's that Nashville weather like?
Man, it's crazy. Last night, which I didn't know, I guess we got some ice storm that I didn't know about. So when I went out to my car,
Did you go down?
No, I didn't go down. I'm saying when I went out to my car, it was iced all over. Like I couldn't get into my car.
That's the worst, man. Ice sucks, man.
Yeah, so I guess it got down to 28 last night. But then during the day, it got up to around, I think, 34, 35. So it started melting. But I had a dentist appointment. So I'm like, man, I got to try to get this ice off. But I just didn't feel like doing it at that moment. So eventually I kind of jimmy one of the doors open and then just let the car run for a while until it started, with the defrost on high and it started melting and whatnot. But yeah, man, we ain't prepared for that type of stuff down here, man. But the roads wasn't crazy at all once I actually got onto the road and went on about my business. But just dealing with ice, and if you don't think about it, I didn't put my windshield wipers up, so they absolutely useless.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, I never do that.
Oh man, you gotta do
Ever.
it. You gotta do it, man.
Nah, man.
It'd be absolutely.
I'll find out they stuck when I try to use them.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stun on y'all like a garage up and go where I please.
Man, I've had a garage for the past 8 years, man, and then getting this new condo. It's no garage. It's just
street parking or parking lot?
It's parking lot, so we ain't on the street or nothing like that. But they don't even have like carports or nothing like that. Or I definitely would have signed up for the carport. So I don't know. But ice storms and snow that only happens probably once or twice a winter. Snow, same thing. So it's just an inconvenience just a couple times in the winter, for the most part. You know what I mean? But obviously Doug's not with us tonight. Impromptu fish fry. So
Cat's over there
Yeah, I never heard of an emergency fish fry, man.
Ask the mustard.
man.
All right, man, we're gonna hop into these brews, man. I'm gonna slide it to my visual left. Bdub, what you drinking, bro?
What's going on, y'all? So yeah, let's talk about it. This is called Night of the Living Gingerbread.
Yeah, okay.
It's coming out of Ontario, Canada. The brew house is.
Do they not believe in February or something? What's the name of this brew house?
We're not gonna blame them. We're gonna blame the guy.
Yeah, this is
to bring that on the pod on February 1st.
Hold on, let him say what it's called, man.
This is all me. This is in poor taste. It's called Flying Monkey.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This is a winter ale Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, man. That's.
Yeah, you can take yourself off mute, Mr. Rivers. You can join in if you want, man.
I'm sorry to the whole month of February for this beer review.
It just kept getting worse.
Yeah, man. Just poor taste by me. But in all reality, man, I bought this beer like 3 weeks ago. And, it was either this one or some other
You
ish.
held it specifically for this occasion.
I mean,
It kept getting worse.
It is. It ain't getting no better.
Yeah, let's just get into the review, man. Let's just.
But listen though, I bought 3 beers. So at one point in time of this month, it was gonna get reviewed. So it's not a good time. I'm saying. So I had to. Yeah, I gotta talk about it. It's coming in at 9%. Like I said, the brewery's in Canada. As you can see, it's a play off of gingerbread. So I can already tell the notes it's probably gonna be sweet. That gingerbread note probably gonna be a lot boozy because it's coming in at 9%. I haven't poured it up, so
I was distracted by the brewery. Is it a stout?
It's a winter ale.
Winter ale, okay.
I think one thing that saved you though is they wasn't based out of Mississippi.
Yeah, if it was in like Tupelo, Mississippi, oh yeah, man.
I don't need you to ever pick that up again if it's out of Mississippi.
Off the nose is giving that. I can smell that sweetness, man. It smells like gingerbread soda. It's probably gonna be decent.
You a fan of gingerbread?
All right, this is nasty. This isn't good at all.
I mean,
and it shouldn't be good. And it shouldn't be good.
Are you a fan of gingerbread?
Yeah. It smells like gingerbread. Tastes like dirt. I don't know if that's one of the notes, but yeah,
it's real earthy.
Oh, man,
you know what? That's your ancestors, man.
Yeah,
they coming back to get you, man.
They definitely speaking out on this one.
Oh man,
what was the joint we had at the barbecue that was trash? It was something water.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's a step up from that. There's nothing too much to say about it. I mean, the notes are nutmeg, cinnamon, roasted coffee. It tastes like coffee without the sugar, like black coffee almost.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this isn't particularly my cup of tea.
But I give it a 4.
I'll give this a 3.25.
All right.
I'm a fan of this brew house. I've had like 2 other offerings from them that was stellar. This one just missed the mark on this one.
They got good stouts. I've had some stuff from them before.
And they do. And I don't think I've ever reviewed a winter ale on the pod before, but this is my first time reviewing a winter ale. I don't know if it's going to steer me away from them in future reviews, but I'm not digging that. I'm not going to repeat the brew house again, but Night of the Living Gingerbread.
All right.
What'd I say? 3.25, man. Blast, what you got?
Come on, Blast. Bring us back, man.
Bring it home, man.
On a more positive note, my brew is a collaboration between Cincinnati and Dayton. On the Cincinnati side, we got Esoteric, and on the Dayton side, we got Elmatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got a couple Elmatic glasses in the house tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Love the name of the brew. You got 2 Black Owned Breweries, and the name of the brew is All Black Everything. It's a breakfast stout, 7.9 on the ALC. I love the can work. It's got that classy kind of like 1920s vibe to it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's Esoteric's work right there, man.
Yeah. All, you know what? All of their stuff does kind of have that.
Yeah,
that
Harlem Nights kind of vibe.
Yeah, Harlem Nights. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we looking like.
That's exactly what it is.
Let me see. I didn't check the notes on this joint.
Starting off with a 7 on the stout is scaring me though, man.
Yeah, this is true.
That's porter levels right there, man.
Let me give you what they say. It says All Black Everything is a special collab between 2 Black-owned Ohio breweries coming together to celebrate Black History Month. The breakfast stout features rich flavors of roasted coffee, dark chocolate, flaked oats, and a hint of vanilla for a smooth finish. All right. Well, definitely getting that coffee. That's like the strongest note on the nose. Ooh, heavy on the coffee. I think in a good way, though. Yeah, you're getting that coffee and that chocolate. I mean, I don't know what a flaked oat is supposed to taste like, but the vanilla is kind of coming in, and Bdub, it meets your criteria. It's kind of, what do you call it? Coating the glass. It's coating the glass. So, it's got a good feel to it. I won't say the other part, just a good feel. Yeah, I'm rocking with it, man.
We are way too childish where we can't even give honest reviews anymore, man.
Well, you don't want to make the clip, Eric. You don't want to do that.
I mean, I think I'm on. Sorry to step away from the beer review, but I think I'm going to have to ignore Bdub's review because I don't know if I can clip that up or not. That'd be a black eye on us to put that out there, man. But back to my review, man. Very tasty brew. You'd like to see the ALC a little higher for sure on a stout, but taking that into account, I think I would give it a 4 1/4.
Well, all right, 1 1/4.
And with that said, I'm gonna turn it over to my man E.
So tonight I will not be reviewing a beer, but I will tell you
take your
what I'm
time.
drinking. Yeah, I'm drinking this Stuff of Legends. They're out of Kansas City, which ironically is
that's in poor taste too.
How you figure? It's where the
They beat the Bengals.
Bruh, it's where the Negro League Baseball Museum is located. Haha.
And the Jazz Museum.
Tie it all together, man.
Oh,
So you
okay.
can tie Flying Monkey together, man.
Oh no, because it's in a Black Owned Brewery glass.
He's coming back. He's coming back with it.
Anywho, but in lieu of my normal beer reviews, I'm gonna highlight, some Black folks in craft brew history, man. So tonight I want to talk about Theodore Ted Mack. He purchased People's Brewing Company back in 1970 for $600,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice chunk of cheese.
Man, yeah, even in today's money.
Yeah. So this was a brewery that was established, I believe, my math ain't that quick. It was 57 years before he bought it. It was a white brewery. Him and a group of Black investors bought it in 1970. They were one of the first Black breweries in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin altogether, but they were located in Oshkosh. Mack's desire to own a brewery stemmed from the idea that the Black community should become producers of the goods and services it consumed. Makes a lot of sense. One thing that I found interesting about him, which I wasn't looking for this, but he was also the first Black athlete from Alabama to be offered a football scholarship at Ohio State. I had no idea that tied in when I was looking at him. Some of Mack's history is he worked as head of production and industrial relations at Pabst. This was prior to him purchasing the brewery.
Like Pabst Blue Ribbon?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The brewery remained open for 2 years. They suffered a lot of backlash. And
You should have let me do this, man. You messing up Max.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. They suffered a lot of backlash and a lot of racism when it came to funding as well as distributing their beer. It's a really interesting article, and I won't go into depths of the article, but they spoke about how basically white people wouldn't purchase the beer, and they gave it a derogatory term for the beer, basically. So in 1972, they ended up selling the brewery. They actually sued, I believe it was the United States for because it was a small business loan. So they ended up suing them. Didn't get a chance to find out what the outcome was. But more interestingly is that this beer is actually in the Smithsonian Museum of American history. It's called the People's Beer. The can wasn't filled. They said it was one of the last cans of production. And so if you're ever at the Smithsonian, check it out. I'll find a way to post this article. Once again, it's a really lengthy read, but it's a good read, just to see, how Black people have been in craft beer for a lot longer than what I realized. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even born in 1970, but to know that, there was breweries owned by Black people back then is, something to be celebrated. I'm actually going to do research on 2 more breweries that existed before them, the Colony House and Sunshine Brewing. So tune in, to the pods this month as we highlight Black History Month and Black people in craft brew.
Yeah, man.
Well said, man.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. And I'll have a better read next time. But
I'll have a better brew next time, man.
Like I said, we tonight we do have a guest. We want to welcome Myron Rivers to the H&S Podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, fellas. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. Give us a little bit about your background. Tell us what you do, how you got your start.
Oh man, I try to keep this brief because I feel like I've had like a Forrest Gumpian type life, right? And it really never, none of it really made sense until I went into business for myself, and then it's like, oh, okay. But my parents are originally from Ohio, but I grew up in Texas. Ended up moving here when I was in high school, and I'll never forget, it was April 1st, 1992. And we got here and it was snowing. And I mean, I swear to God, I thought it was a joke. Right? It was like this can't, like, it's not, and I grew up in Texas. I ain't never seen snow. I certainly didn't think it snowed in April. But anyhow, so went to high school. After high school, went to join the military, and that went to school and led to a bunch of crazy different jobs, which ultimately led me back here to Cincinnati when I got married and had kids. Came back and worked in, my mother owned a catering business. And so came back, was working with her in her business. She had gotten a contract to do the food service for the Freedom Center when it first opened. So I came back to help her out with that. And so that was really, excuse me, let's say kind of, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, right? And so my grandfather was an entrepreneur. My mom was an entrepreneur. And so helping my mom, and that led into me working at a couple other places. I worked at the African American Chamber, excuse me. And then at the Cincinnati Chamber, which afforded me the ability to really kind of see businesses up close and work with entrepreneurs directly. I really got to see what their struggle was and how they operate for many, many years. And then my best friend said, "Hey, I'm going to start a credit card processing business. You don't know anything about that, neither do I, but would you like to, do this with me?" I mean, I was going through a divorce, so, I don't know if any of you ever done that, but everything sounds like a good idea after you going through that. Like, it's like, okay, I just went through that. So, okay, like if I survive that, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So we set out to do credit card processing, and did not know what we were doing, but it was a lot of fun, and we had some success, but just not enough to really kind of grow it and sustain it. The business was changing in a lot of ways. Like not long after we got in the industry, Apple Pay came out and really kind of changed it. We just couldn't really compete. So we ended up selling to a larger company here, locally in Cincinnati. He dipped, worked some other corporation. I stayed through the transition, which was only supposed to be maybe 6 months or so, and then which led me to work there for like 10 years. And
Yeah,
so
that's a long transition.
Right, man.
it was a long transition. It was a long transition, man. And believe it or not, I still don't think they've got it together. But so after all that time, I was vice president of business development. And so we during that time, they ended up getting bought out by another larger company, and that company ended up going public. And it just so happened I had quite a bit of shares, and so then the pandemic hit. And it was funny because I remember saying to someone, I was like, hey, if they lay off people, I'm fairly certain that I'm going to be let go. And during, and so, the pandemic happened. And I was already at home. I had tore my Achilles playing basketball. So I was already at home, like convalescing. And again, April 1st, like it's a recurring theme.
Wow.
April 1st, my boss, he's like, hey, you mind if we chat? And I swear, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
So, so ended up separating from the company, which was fine. And so my shares at this time became vested. And so I used that to start a consulting business. And so I was doing some consulting on my own. I really did. Honestly, I didn't want to do anything. I was just going to like take a couple years, and honestly, I was going to grow my hair out, maybe, play the guitar. I'm not kidding you. I was like, listen, this pandemic has taught me that nothing's important, right? So I'm going to just chill. I can do that right now. So I'm going to just chill for like 2 years. And just do nothing, enjoy my kids, enjoy life. And 2 months, maybe 2 months into my retirement, right, my midlife retirement, a friend calls. I was like, hey, I need your help with this. And I was like, yeah, I can help you. And so that led to, he's like, hey, we don't have, our budgets are frozen, but if we had a consultant that helped us through this, like my board would approve that money in a heartbeat. And since I was retired and not stupid, I was like, hey, I can consult. I can consult. And so we started doing like consulting work with arts organizations to help them kind of use technology to, in a way to kind of upgrade their systems and how they to interact with customers, be it through like apps, through reverse ATMs, not accepting cash, going ticketless, and all the things that they need to do to decrease interactions between guests and with each other, right? And so that's what we were working with. We were working with some pretty decent sized clients, and through that work came the realization that there was a piece of technology needed that could do a lot of these things, right? And so I went to one of our clients and said, hey, you should develop an app to do this, this, and this. And, since you have a few facilities, it'll be advantageous. I know it'll cost a lot of money, but this will be advantageous if you can adapt it to use it at all of your facilities, right? And so that way, all of your patrons can just download one app and they can use it at all of your facilities. And then whatever. And they were like, no, they were a little resistant, but then they came around and said, well, hey, we think this is a good idea. Can you build this for us? And I didn't know how to do that. And so I was retired, not stupid. I said, would you pay me to do that? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, then, yeah, I'll do it. So,
hey, Myron, you I think you've given us the name of this episode: Retired, Not Stupid.
Facts.
Right. And so, so then, it was really starting, we had to figure out how to create and build this thing, right? So I went and found a local developer. I didn't want to use anyone overseas because I wanted someone if I needed to reach out and touch them and say, hey, why isn't this done? I could do that without a language or time zone barrier, right? And so we found a local developer to help us out. They understood it. It was not actually, they didn't at first. At first they said, hey, this already exists. And I said, yeah, I thought it would too. But if you can prove me wrong, then you find it, send it to me, and I'll just tell my client to buy that, right? And they couldn't find it, came back to me amazed that this didn't exist already. I said, well, then let's build it and have some fun. So we started building it, and it was going to cost a lot of money. And so it was an arts organization, and they just didn't have the money, right? It was 2020. They were dark, and so they were running out of money quickly. And so I said, okay, I believe in this project enough that what if I'll become a partner with you, we'll create this as a company, right? I'll become a partner with you. We'll find the money, right? I'll put in a little bit and we'll find the rest of the money. But that way, when we go out, we'll use it at your facility, but we'll make both our monies back if we make it a platform and then sell it to other arts organizations as well, right? And at first they were like, yeah, that's great, let's do it. And so we started building it, and halfway through the build, they changed their mind and they said, well, no, we don't want it, because we didn't think that there would be the possibility of other arts organizations in our very city having access to this. And they weren't even really worried about the arts organizations, right? So they were like, they did plays and things like that. They were worried. They were like, well, would the museums be on there? I said, well, yeah. And they're like, well, we don't want people knowing about what they're doing. And I said, but in return, their people will now know what you've got going on as well. And there's just too much for them. So they backed out. And so, which was fine because I was in the Boy Scouts, so they always told us to be prepared. So I always had a backup plan in case that happens. I've been in business long enough to know that people get squirmy and will back out of a deal for whatever reason. So we had a backup plan. We enacted that plan immediately, went and found, some customers and a pilot program, and we just instantly spun it off as its own entity and company that we wholly own, which is Lerch. And so Lerch is a mobile ordering app for venues, so any place where there's a line. And so think of it if you're at a concert venue or even at a festival, or you've been at even a sporting event and you've wanted nachos or whatever, and you've been in line and something happens, you miss your favorite song, you miss a play because you were in line. And if you're anything like me, you're at a concert, if you see a line, I'll just not buy anything, right? I'll just hit McDonald's drive-thru on the way home because I didn't spend all this money for this ticket to stand in the line. And so what Lerch does is it gives you the power to order food, beverage, even merchandise directly from your phone. Depending on the facility, it can be delivered to you. We also have wayfinding, so it'll help you direct you to your seat or find a specific concession stand if you want it. If it's not delivered to your seat, it creates like a speed pass line. So the app will notify you when your order is ready, and you can literally just walk over, pick it up, and go right back to your seat. So you never really have to miss out on anything, right? And so it's incredibly efficient for the customer. It's better for our customer, which would be the event facility or the food truck or the festival. And so that's who we are, and that's what we do.
So let's just say, like, I'm trying to get something from the concession stand. Like, does the concession stand have to have? Do y'all have to be like compatible with each other for that to work? Like, if I'm trying to see if it's a line, like how does your app know if it's a line or not at a concession stand?
Well, they're our customer, right? And so we contract with the facility, so their menus and everything would be already programmed into our app. So you would open the app, select that venue. The menu is there. You select it. You select your item, just like it's no different than like a DoorDash or Uber Eats, right? You see the food there, you select what you want, and it's right there. So it's not like you just go to a new place and you'll be able to access their menu. Our customers are the venues, right? And so they would have to, so once they've chosen to be a part of our system, then we come in, we upload their menus, we get them onto our platform, and then their customers can start using Lerch to order.
Okay.
Where does the name come from? Lerch.
From the Addams family. It's so wild, right? So I tell this story because I was the last person on our team. I did not want this. I did not want the name because, and William, I think you'll understand. You've seen me in person. I am tall, I'm big, and I never wanted to go anywhere and someone look at me and go Lerch, right? So, and now my worst nightmare. I mean, it happens all the time now, which is kind of bittersweet, right? Because it's like, oh, people recognize the company, but I don't want to be called that. So, but it comes from, we were thinking of this as an event butler or an event concierge app, right? And so we were thinking of like butler names. And so, of course, I'm a kid from the 80s, right? And so I was thinking Jeffrey from
I'll say
Prince, right? Yeah, so that was my first thing, Jeffrey. But Jeffrey is very ubiquitous, right? It's everything. So, I mean, it's everywhere, right? So it was hard to like get a domain name, social media, stuff like that. Yeah. And then, so we were just thinking all these different butler names, right? So we even thought of like Benson.
I was going to say Benson.
But here's the thing. Our team was like, no. So I said Benson. No one in the room knew what I was talking about. Yeah, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like,
it's only a specific audience to know about Benson, man.
Thank you. And so I was like, okay. And then I was, all right, what about, I was like, Alfred? But that, again, it's everywhere. You can't really use Alfred. Mr. Belvedere.
I was thinking Belvedere too, yeah.
So we thought about Mr. Belvedere, but then we ran into this issue of, I said, spell it. And then people start arguing about the spelling. Is it Belve? Belva? And I was like, well, if you're having that, then the customer will have that same problem. So we can't do that. So someone was yelled out, well, what about Lerch from the Addams family? And I was like, nah. And the whole room was like, yeah, that's perfect. And then I think my business partner was like, the reason I like it because you can use it as a verb. So you could say like, hey, Lerch me that, or did you Lerch? Yeah, and I was like, oh crap. And in the text space, you want something with either 4 or 5, a name with 4 or 5 letters in it, and Lerch fits that. And so I kind of got outvoted, and I said, all right, fine. We called our attorney and said, hey, just make sure we're not going to be running up against any social media. I mean, not a copyright infringement or anything like that. And so, again, this is 2020. And so I think it was maybe 2 hours later, my attorney calls like, hey, you're right. Paramount does own the likeness, name, and image of Lerch. But here's the crazy thing. The name, the copyright had expired and no one at Paramount had noticed.
Oh.
Yeah. So we bought it for like $150. And so here we are.
Hey, that's a come up, man.
Yeah, that is a come up.
So if they want to use that name, they have to come to y'all?
Here's the thing. I'm not going to, they have a lot more money and a lot more lawyers than we do. So I'm just waiting for the day that I get a cease and desist letter from them. And I'm going to say, wait a minute. Right? Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And listen, I am not one of those people that says I can't be bought. No. I can and will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I see why you and Blast are friends, because he's been preaching all since season 3. Hey, we accept payola. I can be bought. You know what I'm saying? Slide the envelope.
Yeah, nothing's off the table, man. Nothing's off the table for Hops.
Nothing. Listen,
we'll be out here, the No Name podcast, if we have to, for the right price.
I have a question.
For the right price.
How does? So I know. So you partner with the venue. What's the marketing to the consumer? How do I, as a consumer that goes to, I'm just going to throw out Paul Brown or something like that. How do I know that Lerch exists and that this can benefit me as a consumer?
Yeah, so we work really well with the venue. So I'm a big believer in anytime that you're going to go outside of yourself to do anything, right? I'm a sales guy at heart. And so I believe that everything is just a sales negotiation. And so anytime you're going to have to go outside of yourself and you need someone's help, that's a partnership, right? And so for any successful partnership to work, you have to have a shared or tied interest. And so that's what we do in the marketing aspect, right? And so our pricing model is that the venue doesn't pay for this service, the customer ordering does, right? And so how we're able to do that is that we have a revenue share with the venue. And so the more people that process through Lerch, the more money the venue makes. And so what we do is we enter a marketing agreement with them. So we'll say, okay, you have to put Lerch, and you have to put a QR code and advertising for Lerch at every concession stand. We have to, if you have a scoreboard, we have to be up there for X amount of time during the game. And here's the thing, they want it too, because we've tied their interest, right? And so, under a lot, because when we first started out, they're like, well, to get, time on the scoreboard, you have to pay us for that. That's marketing dollars that we're missing out on. And I said, well, that's marketing dollars you're missing out on, right? Like, think it through. So again, so they really get creative with their space as well. For our food truck and festivals, we have that kind of thing. But for our food trucks and our contract with our food truck vendors, we have like a contract that they have to give us a dedicated square footage or inches on their truck, and we give them like a advertising magnet again with a QR code where people can start their order. Right, they use a QR code, it downloads the app, starts the process, and things like that. But that dedicates. That was kind of a twofold kind of a thing. One that helps the food purveyor advertise Lerch and things like that. But we ask for a specific amount of square footage. So as we get a critical mass, right? Let's say we're in a city like a Houston, and we've got 500 food trucks in Houston that we have a dedicated marketing space on those 500 food trucks. We can now sell that space for advertising.
How many people does it take to make Lerch move?
What do you mean?
Like, who's in your team? How many's in your team?
Oh, okay. So we run really lean, right? We're just coming up on year number 3, and so we have me and my co-founding team. Kai Jennings is our COO, and we have a chief technical officer that just joined our team too. We have a marketing intern. We have a social media strategist that we have on our team. And then we just picked up a salesperson, and then that's it. We handle everything else ourselves. And then we outsource our dev shop. So we started off with that dev shop that's here in Cincy, and we kind of outgrew them a little bit. So we hired a new dev shop, which we're really proud of, because I'm a big believer in Black economics. And so I go out of my way to work with Black owned companies, and we found a Black developer shop. They're out of Austin, Texas. And so we're really excited to be working with them. And so So that's where, and they have a whole team of people that handle a lot of that.
That's dope. Man.
Myron, give us an idea of some of the markets you're in and maybe some of the facilities you're in too with Lerch.
Yeah. So we, right now today, we are in 3 cities. We're in Los Angeles, Cincinnati, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are opening, we're moving into Houston, Texas. We're moving south because we mainly deal with, right now, we've been heavy with working with a lot of food festivals. I mean, festivals of all sorts, music festivals, food festivals, and things like that. But any sort of festival where there's going to be a heavy food component, which typically are cultural festivals or Black festivals. So last year we did the Black Family Reunion where Lerch was employed. And so we did work with another music festival out of Atlanta. We just picked up, we have close to 30 food trucks in those 3 cities that I mentioned. Food trucks are really kind of our go-to-market strategy at the moment. Working with festivals was really good, but it was kind of like on the revenue component, it was kind of up and down. And festivals, I mean, at best are 4 days, 5 days max, right? And then they're gone, and we have to, you know what I mean? And so while it was good for a testing ground, like we really needed to find something that was really going to kind of shore up revenue. And so through working with the festivals, that's where we got the strategy for the food trucks. And I wish I could the food truck operators came to us and were like, hey, can we still keep using this app? They used it for the weekend. They loved it. And so they're like, can we keep using it? Some asked, could they keep using it? And we're like, well, we didn't really create it for that, but I guess so. And so we started.
You got to say you retired. But
I'm retired, but I'm not stupid, right? I mean, listen, it's so fun. I mean, you go through life and I get a lot of compliments, and I'm an arrogant person by nature, but like people a lot of times will say that, like, oh, you're so smart. And I'm like, no, I'm not smart. I can just smell money and an opportunity, right? And so like my grandfather always told me, he was like my hero. And was my father figure. And he always said that most people they can't recognize opportunity because it comes disguised as hard work, right? And so he made sure that we were never afraid of hard work. And so a lot of hard work has always, opportunity always followed, right? And so, but I'm always looking for opportunity, because if there's an opportunity, that means there's money to be made. And so you can see that and you go for it. And so, like I said, we saw that opportunity. We did the math. We literally just kind of pivoted our go-to-market strategy on a dime and just attacked this, and it just started to pay off dividends. And so, our revenue started showing up and going up and up and up. And so we really invested in, for right now, working with food trucks primarily. And the thought process is that, like I said, we'll continue to get a critical mass, right? And so we'll go to cities like Houston, Austin. We'll continue to build in Cincinnati, Tulsa, and we'll go south. But and then we'll start to go after festivals and fixed venues like arenas, stadiums, baseball stadiums, and places like that, theaters. Things like that. But I really want to focus in on this because, as you know, like doing business and also being a Black entrepreneur, things are hard for any entrepreneur, but specifically for us, it's different. And it will always, and I don't expect it to be easy. That's fine. However, just getting in this, having these conversations is oftentimes a lot difficult. So, but the food truck aspect has been a lot advantageous for us, and we're spreading like wildfire. And so as we continue to get that critical mass, we're getting more and more users on the platform, more and more downloads. And so now when we go to Houston to fix venues, and they're saying, hey, we don't know if we want to use your product. And I'm saying, hey, we have 30,000 people that have downloaded Lerch in this area. They may not use us, but they're at least going to take the meeting and have a conversation. And that's all. And that's all I need.
So Myron, so I'm like I'm a supply chain analyst, so I look at analytics all day. As a vendor, what type of analytics are you presenting to me that says, hey, okay, just I'm a vendor, I'm like, okay, I charge $20 for 3 tacos. But now if I involve you in this process, I'm only making 15, or I'm only bringing in 15 versus the 20 or whatever the profit margin is. What type of analytics are you using to show that particular vendor that, hey, a consumer being able to utilize this app versus waiting in your line is going to boost your sales because that consumer is going to be more apt to use this app than standing in line?
Oh, absolutely. And so, well, one of the things is the biggest benefit to Lerch or customers that we use is that it doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't cut into your profit margin. So if you were getting $10 for that item, you're still going to get $10 for that item. We charge your customer for that convenience. What we have found is that people like me who are incredibly impatient and don't want to wait, or whatever the reason, are willing to pay more. We're willing to pay a little bit more, right, for the convenience.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost them anything. And if they become what we call a super user, right, meaning that once you get above, once we become more than 10% of all of your orders for the month, we'll incentivize, we'll profit share with you, right? So for every transaction you put through Lerch, we started off at 10 cents per order that comes through, and you can grow it based upon how well you grow it. Again, we're tying those interests, right? So if you work for us, you're not just making Lerch more money, you're making yourself more, right? And so we also incentivize them because every other order that you're going through, what you described just also happens because you're taking that credit card, you're having to pay X amount of a percentage to Stripe, to Square, or whatever, to process that transaction. I take care of that for you, right? And so now you're not only, even if you don't get to the profit sharing with the revenue sharing with us, your Lerch orders are more profitable because, again, now you're not getting $9.15 for that $10 thing. You're getting $10 for every Lerch order that comes through, right?
Yeah, man, that's low key. That's low key genius, man.
Yeah.
So basically,
it is.
Hold on. So let me get this straight. So basically, you partner with the facility at a certain threshold. They begin to work for you. What the hell? Oh my goodness.
Man, the man said he's retired. He ain't stupid.
Yeah, man. I actually like that, man. Hey, Blast. Before we let Myron off the line, go ahead and trademark that real quick. Hurry up, Blast. Do it. Blast, do it.
That sound like the next T-shirt.
Nah, I'm saying do it. You can't do it while he on the podcast, man.
I know. I can't.
You can't do it while he on the pod.
But here's just a little, if you're a data geek like me, this is what we like to also throw out, right? And so this is what we found out during our testing. So we tested at a couple of venues where concerts are happening. And so Live Nation, largest concert going in the world, right? They've also started buying facilities. At their own data says that during an average 4-hour concert, people are only visiting their concession stand 1.5 times per event, right? When Lerch is employed at the same 4-hour time frame, those customers go to the concession stand 3.2 times per event, right? So here's the thing, and not only that, our average ticket, now taking out our fee, right? Our average ticket is 24% higher. So not only are people going to the concession stands more often, they're spending more every time they go, right? And you're making money. Why say no? And this is what I hit them with. Okay, you've heard all of that. My only question is, why are you still making your customers wait when you don't have to? Now it's a customer service concern, right? And people, they get on board.
So did you have a technology? You said you didn't have a technology background at all. What's your background in?
like my sales. Like I had a lot of sales jobs, and so like I was saying, that's why I was saying like I moved here in high school. I went to Hughes High School, right, and it's a magnet, and so it was the magnet program that I was in was computer programming. So I guess like I learned how to code. I learned logic in high school, and so like I understand how things work. And then working, with the various organizations I work with, even at the chamber, I had the benefit and lucky to be able to serve on a lot of boards and committees where I learn and hear under how technology happens. And then at my last job before here, as the head of business development, a lot of times business development took, the company that bought us was a holding company. So we were always doing mergers and acquisitions. And so a lot of that, we were buying technology. And so I'd be in rooms and we were understanding deals, and we always had to work with our developers when we were acquiring a piece of technology and how to integrate that into us, learning how to work with APIs, and all of those people, were under me, under my team. And so while I wasn't a developer or coder, I still had to learn. I mean, listen, the company I worked for has 1,600 employees, and I was the only Black person there. So you can imagine like all of these people answering to me, right? And so just for my own sanity and protection, I had to learn a lot of this just so I didn't look stupid or be made to look stupid in a meeting or anything like that. And I had to learn just to be good at my job, I had to learn how to communicate with them on their level and in their language just to be effective, right? And so I learned a lot of things along the way that I didn't understand how that would help me here, it's all, I understand how all of these different things now come into play. Because, since starting this company, it's like every time we're faced with something, I already know what to do. So I know that all of these experiences have led me to doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
That's dope. I'm gonna make one proposal.
Sure.
And this is gonna be genius.
I can feel it.
You can feel it. So you're in these venues. Mm-hmm. I'm customer. I'm enjoying this concert. I go order a beer from the Lerch. Mm-hmm. Immediately, I order my beer and I'm directed to the Hops and Stocks podcast.
Mm. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I love it. I love it.
We out of here. We out of here with it.
Hey, man, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because we got Myron on, but it seems like we're getting a lot of followers. Like as we're doing it right now.
It's dope, man.
I'm like, we ain't even like put this out or nothing, but it's just like
nah, man. You have a really interesting story, man. And like I said, when I read the bio that Blast sent over, like I was like, y'all have no clue what this dude does other than other than own the company. So it's been good to chop it up with you, man, and listen to, your story, your journey. You found a niche, man, and that's what it's about. That's what it's exactly about. Like we all sit there, it's like, man, why didn't I think of that? And you one of the people that actually thought about that. So I commend you, you know what I'm saying, on what you've done and what you've developed. I think we still sitting here trying
to appreciate that, man.
What's our next idea?
But you know what? That's so important. I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because today it so happened I had lunch with the owner of my old company, right? And he just out of the blue, want to know what you're doing, which is just code for I'm being nosy. So,
they said none you.
No, yeah. So we go to lunch, and so he's shooting me all these questions, and then invariably something about competition always comes up, and this is one of my new favorite topics to talk about. And so I love that and I'm going to segue this to connecting what you said about a niche, which is so important in anything that you're doing. And I don't care if it's owning a business, running a podcast. I think a lot of times we spend so much time trying to worrying about competition and going after the people that, and trying to capture something, the interest of someone who isn't interested, instead of focusing on the people who are, right? Yeah. And so, one of these conversations came up, and one of the questions that he asked me today was like, who's your competition? Who are you worried about? And we're raising money and doing all these things. And that's a question that we get all the time. And we just did this program in Tulsa. I spent 4 months in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And during that time, when I got there, medical marijuana is legal there, not recreational, just medical marijuana. And this has, I promise you, this has a point. There are dispensaries on every single corner, everywhere. I've never seen anything like this. I don't care where you've been, you've never seen it. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, tiny place, dispensaries everywhere. And so you go inside, and these places are they look like Apple stores or Target, right? You can tell there's an investment dollar in this. These aren't mom and pop operations, right? And every week there is a new, you get flyers, billboards, a new dispensary opening up. My point is this small town in Oklahoma where no one lives, right? Is getting investment.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tulsa. That's where my dad is from. Love you, Grandma.
No.
Young Street, we in the house. All right, carry on.
No disrespect to Tulsa. No disrespect to Tulsa. No disrespect to Tulsa. But I'm saying, like, for the sheer number that is there, it doesn't make sense for the population. It just doesn't, right? Like, it would be a lot for a large metropolitan city. There are so many, right? And my point is there's more and more opening. And in a market where it's not even free and open to everybody, it's only medical use where you have to be regulated, right? They're still competing with all of these other ones and opening more. Not to mention the street market, which is unregulated, right? And people are putting investment dollar into that. My point is competition isn't a real thing, but niches are, right? Find your tribe. Work that. Don't worry. I mean, the competition is a made up thing to keep you from accomplishing what you need to accomplish.
Hold on. I think we got a gem here. You got to say that one more time about competition. Competition is what?
Competition is just a made up thing designed to keep you from accomplishing the thing that you're trying to get. That's it. It's just a roadblock that people put in your way, right? Ooh, what about the competition? They're putting something that didn't exist before in your brain, right? If competition was a thing, Coke and Pepsi, RC Cola, all of these things would not exist, right? But all of them are billion-dollar brands. Why? And they have been billion-dollar brands and will continue to be billion-dollar brands. Competition is not a thing, right? Can you gain more market share? Sure. Can you lose more market share? Absolutely, right? But if you're in touch with your tribe, right, and you know who's for you and you're delivering what you promised to them, a lot of times if they're leaving you, it's for a reason, right? They're not leaving you just because the competition exists. They always had options. They always even had the option of buying your product or not, because they always try to give you this option. The option of choice is what fools us, right? And they say, oh, you have to choose Coke or Pepsi, but then that takes away the fact you don't have to have cola at all. The human being, you didn't even have to choose to drink that at all. That's always a choice, right? And that always existed, no matter what product is there.
That's powerful, man. That's different.
The choice is yours.
Choice has always been ours, right? The world has done a really good job convincing us of the other thing. You know what I mean? That it isn't.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if anybody else had any other thing to bring up. If not, Myron, if you could drop, your socials, if you're active on social media, if you got a website, how can people get in touch with yourself, Lerch, download the app. I actually, while we was on the podcast, I went and looked at it on the I have Android, so I looked at it on the
I'm like,
Store.
I think we got to get the Lerch app.
Yeah, I had to look out like, man, let me make sure Myron legit. He ain't over here, you know what I'm saying, selling falsehoods on my podcast. So.
It worked, right? The download is there.
It's on there. It's on there for sure. Lerch is legit. You can go to the.
Listen, I grew up a black man in America. I got trauma. You know, we check our bank account every day. Like, hey, man, make sure the money's to the
right.
Facts.
It is definitely on the Play Store. You are, I believe, a first person with an app to join our podcast, man. So salute to you, man.
Hey, cheers to that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I knew he was gonna have something good to bring because, like you said, he bought something different today. So
yeah. So once again, Myron, I'm sorry. I want to give you an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
You know, shout out.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me. I'm not big on social media, but we do have them, and my team would kill me if I didn't do this. But you can reach us. Our hashtag, our website is www.asklerch.com, and all of our socials are the same way. So you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All of the places, right?
You better not
places.
be dancing on TikTok, man.
I ain't doing nothing. But we do, and it's Ask Lerch at all of those mediums.
Dig it, man. Hey, once again, we want to thank you, and we appreciate you. You know what I'm saying, taking the time out to come chop it up with us. Seriously,
no, I thank you guys. Seriously, y'all are doing a great job. I was in preparation. I watched and listened to a few episodes, and so commend you fellas for this and highlighting Black excellence. And you know, this is amazing, and the world needs to see more examples of Black men like this in this format, right? And so I think that these are the types of formats that break down walls and show us, and as human beings that we are, right? And I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Hey, I got one quick question. Myron, at your lunch with your old boss, did you rock the merch?
Absolutely. Oh, always. Yeah. That's why I'm dressed like this today. That's why I'm dressed like this, because he needed. Hey man, listen. Let me tell you something.
Hey man, listen.
You know what?
Talk to me nice.
You do feel good when you go out with your own brand on, man. Like, you know, we have the Hops and Stocks T-shirts and whatnot, and when people see things they don't recognize, like it's not a Nike swoosh, it's not, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the other, it's like, yo, what is that? And you get an opportunity to talk about it, like that, it does make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, man, once again, we want to thank you for stopping by. You know what I'm saying? Hops and Stocks.
Thank you so much.
Signing off. I think this episode 68.
68, yep.
68.
We out of here.
We out. Peace.
Take care. Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
Be a shell of a man if we ever depart. From my heart to I'm riding with you. I'm riding with you.
Podcast is presented by H&S Media Group. We encourage our listeners to drink responsibly. Please note, we are not financial advisors. We do not offer or provide financial advice. Trademark copyrighted by H&S Media Group.